Oi! 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 Hi! Hello! Hello! Can I please be your mom? Maybe not, AJ. Well, maybe. Maybe, AJ. I'll think about it. I'll think about it, buddy. I'll think about it. Hello, Banana. Hello, Kai. Hello, Ice Scales. What's poppin'? What's poppin'? Dry finger Phelan. I don't know how to moderate languages I don't understand, so I'll just wait until somebody who understands the language tells me if it's good or bad. Oi, 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 oi. Yeah, something like that. How are we doing tonight, everybody? How are we feeling? How are we feeling with the new week? How are we feeling with the last week? Oh my god. How are we feeling about the last week in August? Jesus, this year went by so fast, dude. Hello, Junko. Oh my god, but now that it is the last couple of months here, going on here in the northern hemisphere, hopefully it gets cooler soon. I'm kind of excited for it. New week, more work. Ain't that the truth? Sorry. I bought a dragon fruit for the first time today at work, so I'm excited to crack it open either tonight or tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. But I've never eaten a dragon fruit before. I've only ever had dragon fruit flavored stuff. You've lost 3 fingers? 3 fingers gone. 3 fingers gone just like that. Let me get the game up on the screen. That way I don't have to do it later. But yes, if you didn't know from the music and from the title of the stream and from the hundreds of millions of different windows that tell you exactly what's happening on this stream, tonight we're going to be playing some suzerain. We're going to be continuing playing our run. We're going to try not to die. More than anything, I think more than anything, the long-term position that we need to find ourselves in is one where we are just not going to die. We'll see how that goes. We might die tonight, who knows? But that's the fun. That's the fun part of it. Sometimes dying, that's the fun part of it. You like dragon fruit banana? How do you eat a dragon fruit? You just cut it in half, and then you just scoop out the insides to eat, right? It's fairly simple as far as fruits go, from what I remember seeing online or whatever. But yeah, tonight we're playing some Sword Land. I had to move my schedule around a little today because I have to be here to stream on the 12th in a couple weeks when Borderlands 4 drops. I don't know anything about Borderlands 4. I haven't looked at it at all. The only thing that I know about it is the trailer that I saw. Like, the trailer that I saw when it first dropped, and that's about it, where the guy crushes the Psycho Mask in his hand. That's about it. I don't know anything about any of the characters. I don't know anything about the player characters, or who's coming back, or if Claptrap dies or not. Who knows? But yeah! Let me think, what else is there? What else can I share with you? What else has happened to me today? Well, let me think. Oh yeah, tonight I'm gonna be cooking, tonight after stream for dinner, I'm gonna be cooking myself some pork tonkatsu, and instead of it being over rice, it's gonna be over polenta, Parmesan polenta. What do you think? Does that sound like a good meal? Does that sound like a delicious meal? Oh, hang on, I forgot that I'm frying tonight. Me too. Just a second. Okay. I think I have enough cooking oil. Let me see. Hang on. Oh, I might need to run out of the stream real quick so I can go grab some stuff from Target. Cuz I'm also having a guest over tonight, another one of my coworkers. I like to cook for my coworkers, so... Oh, they close at 9. Let me think. I think I'll be good. I think I'll be good as far as cooking oil goes. Hopefully. It's just gonna be thin pork chop. It's not anything serious. But yeah, that's about it for me today, I think. Nothing too unique. Did I do anything funny? I didn't do anything funny today. I should try to strive for something funny at least once a day. Probably like piss myself or whatever. Hello, Spider. Alright. I am going to just hop right into the game. Because my brain... Oh, I've got like... Oh, okay, yeah. I've been looking for like caffeine alternatives, because I don't really like the liquid caffeines like coffee and tea and stuff like that. Or like energy drinks. I've been looking at like caffeine alternatives, stuff that has like caffeine in it, but it's more solid. Like a midday square. I haven't investigated it too deep yet, but I know we sell some of that stuff at work. But I don't know if I want to pick any of that shit up. You know, I don't even know if I'm a caffeine kind of guy. I also had like a wicked headache today. I don't know what's going on, but I've got 2 days off tomorrow and then the day after, so I'm hoping to get some relaxation in. Alright, where are we? What year is it? Can I get the day? Current proposal on the draft, codex, connections, overview? Can I get an overview of what year and what day it is? Nope, I guess not. Boosting the Central Bank Reinforcement Act. Oh, right. We are going to try reinforcing our government budget. Health requires more resources. The hidden power of men in uniform. Oh. What about coffee beans? Just straight up eating coffee beans? I mean, that could work, Spider. Just crack them between my teeth. Reading the game? Oh, yeah. So if you've never played Suzerain before, if you've never seen Suzerain before, this game is about reading. It's a choose-your-own-adventure game. It's a choose-your-own-adventure book, and we're going to be reading. That's all we're going to be doing tonight. Impeach Trump today. I'm living proof Kathleen Nowak. He ordered me to be silenced and wanted me dead, too. Damn, Catherine. Damn, Catherine. I see. Well, best of luck to you, I suppose. Not sure what any of that means. But it sounds cool. The Van Horten wins general elections held in Agnolia last week has resulted in the victory of the nearest Democratic Union of Agnolia for the second time with its leader. Nearest Democrat, it's a religious union. Martin Van Horten, continuing his duties as Prime Minister. The centrist nearest Democratic Union of Agnolia. A staunch promoter of privatization. How you gonna be a nearest and then be like, yes. I guess nearism is just Protestantism in this world. Something like that. Hello, Jason. Hello, Shadow. Oh, Shadow, you're on YouTube today. Unless you're a different Shadow. Alright, what's going on with Dayer? Governor Braun proposes dividing up communities in Bergia. Governor Felix Braun... He does have a picture. A Swedish politician. He's a member of the USP. Reported increased Bloodish Freedom Front support in Blush-dominated neighborhoods in Dayer and in all Bergia. To address the issue, the governor has proposed dividing these communities and resettling Swordish and Bloodish people to achieve a cultural balance in the special zone. The governor believes this approach will limit the influence of the BFF and reduce the risk of secessionist activities in the region. However, some officials claim that these measures would be directly against the Constitution, and the governor of the special zone does not have the authority to enact such policies. This proposal still has raised concerns among some officials who fear it could be implemented, which would lead to further ethnic tensions and social unrest. I don't think I mind that. We're doing a sort of racist run this time around, so we'll see how it goes. POV, I'm running for moderator candidate. Alongside Gibster and Graham. Oh, crap. Yeah, Kai. Hello, Battery. Hello, Battery Acid. Welcome back. Yeah, Kai. I mean, you, Gibster, and Graham have been around for a long time. I wouldn't be too worried about running. I wouldn't be too worried about, like, there being, like, moderator applications. I'm probably, because of how small of a channel I am, I'm probably just gonna conscript you guys instead. Like, you, Gibster, and Graham will probably all make moderator one day if we get a little bigger. I was playing Roblox earlier and I illegally gave you potato chips. No, dude, no. Hello, Medkit, welcome back. Oh, we've got a lot to look at. The General Staff gathers. General Staff has convened at the Ministry of Defense today to assess security conditions of Swordland. More than 20 high-ranking officers were in attendance and discussed several war plans, the internal stability of the nation, and the overall state of the armed forces. Privatization plan proposal on the Ministry of Health has finished the privatization proposal plan in order to increase the resources of the health system and to increase the quality of services through small-scale market competition. Additionally, the ministry's report highlighted the weakness Swordland has when it comes to potential epidemic. Minister Benawal reported that much more could be achieved through the healthcare system if the private sector could slightly assist by generating new revenue streams and adding new services. I'd rather not. What game is this? This is Suzerain. This game is mostly about... this game is mostly going to come down to me reading. I'm going to be reading a lot this stream, so if you're not really into the reading, it's a choose-your-own-adventure sort of style. We lead a country and we make decisions. So if you're not really into that, then this might not be for you. We're about to open the L1. Oh, we're opening the L1. Oh, shit. Mine was when I was still red. Finally, we get to open the high-speed rail. I think this is the first time I've ever opened the high-speed rail. We arrived in Holsword for the grand opening ceremony of the L1. It was a proud moment for all of us. Simone and Gus, who heavily assisted the project, were with me along with Lucien to decide how to proceed tomorrow. Hello, Factorio guy. What's up? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Shotgun. Lucien stood up. First of all, congratulations, everyone. To many more projects like this. Well done, everybody. Good work. Indeed. Let's move on to our plans for the opening tomorrow. It's been a long time since the last successful infrastructure project. There is a good reason to capitalize on the occasion. I have a plan on how to do that. If Mr. President accepts, driving the first high-speed train to Leshaven would be great for our image nationwide. What are your thoughts? Driving the first high-speed? I don't support anything beyond the opening ceremony. Actions speak for themselves anyway. I see your point, but involving the president further could be beneficial for the administration. I think so too, Mr. President. I like Lucien's ideas, so I'm gonna go with Mr. Gallade on some of this stuff. We'll see how it goes, though. I agree, there's much to gain. Very well. Sounds fantastic. The president arriving to Leshaven on a driver's seat would make the headlines for sure. Additionally, a large crowd is invited for the ceremony, and we will be watching the opening speech. And we'll be watching nothing like a cheerful crowd. Looking forward to it. Be good for opportunity for exposure, like the good old campaign days. I think all of us do. Smalls stepped in for a comment. On another note, it goes without mentioning that this was a team effort. Beginning with the president who put his trust in me, I want to thank all who were involved in the L1. Simone, do you deserve a lot of the credit? After all, it was you who came up with the project. We had our disagreements, but the important thing was the outcome. Swordfish people got what they needed for a long time. We will show our best face tomorrow. Meanwhile, I'll make sure that our message of improving the countryside will get across. Alright then, we will have a lot of work to do tomorrow. See you in the morning. See you at the ceremony, lads. It's time to take the train to Leshaven. First time I watched was basically me and Theo one-on-one talking about Spider Scout from Amicis Blue. Oh yeah. The Spider Scout in Amicis Blue, I wish he made a bigger appearance. He only showed up to, like, scare the soldier and the demo man out of, like, the entrance to the forts. The team left, leaving the rest of the evening to prepare for the big day tomorrow. The next day, a stage had been erected inside the central station along the new electrified railway line. The sunny weather created a positive mood in the usually grey Holsword. The crowd looked quite large. I spotted many party members among them. We began moving towards the stage as the excitement was growing. We were all ready to begin the ceremony. I gave the green light and the opening address began. Brothers and sisters of Swordland, I welcome you Holswordians today as a proud servant of this country. Lucien's voice echoed in the central station. Thousands of Swordland and USP flags began to wave as loud cheers intensified. Without further ado, I invite the president of Swordland to the stage. I moved up to the stage to address the crowd. The press was taking dozens of pictures. My fellow Holswordians, I welcome you today for our opening ceremony of the L1 high-speed railway. Citizens, welcome to the opening ceremony. People of Swordland. My fellow Holswordians, people of Swordland, welcome to the opening ceremony of the L1 high-speed railway. The chanting and excitement from the crowd intensified. A large group began singing the national anthem. At the beginning of this journey, we promised jobs and opportunity. We kept our promise. Trust me, our work is far from over. The project is only beginning. We kept our promise. The aim of the L1 was to improve development in rural areas and cities in between Holsword and Leshaven to create economic growth in the greater Holsword and Gellisland region. Our intention with the L1 railway was to best serve our citizens who were having a hard time traveling between the major cities. Hold the frick up. What the fricky? Yeah, the mutilated scout that screeches. Their guy in Amicis Blue was the soldier spy and the plague doctor guy. He didn't star in Amicis Blue and definitely not as the scout spider. That's true. this railway brings down travel time by half. Traveling between Holster and Leshaven is now faster and more comfortable. The railway brings thousands of new jobs. Many unemployed citizens have benefited and will benefit on the path of the railway. And this would be possible that my colleague with sound advice, the Minister Gus Manger, please come over here. We have to thank the mind behind the economic project for it all, the esteemed Minister of Economy and Tax, Simone Hall. Simone walked up beside me. Thanks, Mr. President. Our aim with this project is obvious, to improve the speed and efficiency of transportation. I'm sure each one of you will be proud of the achievements made during the project once we cut that ribbon and you can get on the train yourselves. Simone mentioned the beginning of the Sordish economic recovery and the plans to stop the recession altogether. Lucien took Simone's place after he was done with his speech. Citizens of Holsor, there you have it. As promised, Anton Rain, the 4th president of Swordland, has delivered. We moved towards the line where the first electric train was waiting. A red ribbon was hanging by the doors of the train. Simone gave me a large pair of scissors to commence the opening while the crowd was watching. Cut the ribbon. I cut the ribbon, which led to a huge wave of cheering from the crowd. Many flashes went off at the same time. Congratulations to all! It was a solid and fruitful effort, hopefully with much more to come. It's a good moment indeed. We have helped so many in the countryside. The train is prepared and ready. The journey to Leshaven should take about 4 hours and the rest of us will be in the carriage with you. Enter the train. Oh, we do be hopping on the train. Medkit gun. Buddy butter. I entered the cab and took a seat with the assistant beside me. The crowd was trying to catch a glimpse of me sitting as a driver on the train. Who do you want to travel with in the cab, Mr. President? Probably Simone. Lucien, you would be my preference. I mean, Simone, this is Simone's project, but I'll take Lucien. Thank you, Mr. President. It will be a good journey. We can talk about the reforms on the way as well. As we began driving the train out of the central station, the media took photos of me and Lucien, who kept his usual cool. The new train was in pristine condition, and the electric engine made much faster acceleration possible while providing minimal noise and maximum comfort. Damn! After the relaxing 4-hour drive to Leshaven, we were welcomed by celebratory citizens at Leshaven Station. The railway officially opened to the public as soon as we arrived, and thousands began utilizing it. Today was a great victory for the administration. Open the L1 without complications. Oh my god, look at that economy update, brother! Holy! City population update and everything. The L1 high-speed railway. This modern and efficient railway system connects the cities of Holsord, which is right here in the center of our country, to Leshaven, on the other side. Let's see. Average transportation links. Average. You think so? Alright, that should definitely... the L1 here should definitely boost the economy in a way you'd never thought possible. And then this would be the highway, I think. Leading all the way to Agonland. I would rather do a rail line over there. Personally. So if I select you, can I look at, like, your economy? Alright, whole sword, what you got? Increased business and trade. According to the reports, the city is experiencing a growth in business and trade. The economic growth is expected to bring in new investors and opportunities to the city. I'm a chill spider in the corner. Scary. That's so scary. Requested meeting of Josef Lincea. Alright, it's time for the military... It's time to see how we're gonna handle our military defense of Swordland. I arrived at the cubic building that housed most of the military command that resided in Holsord. The gray and brutalist structure looked daunting. I never liked this building. It always made me feel like I was standing under the concrete floor of a giant getting ready to crush me. It made me feel small, and I never quite got used to the feeling even after this many years. At the entrance, I was greeted by Josef and his military entourage of young officers. Welcome to the Ministry of Defense, Mr. President. Let's go to my office. We walked from corridor to corridor to reach the office. On the way, we were met with high-ranking officers as well as privates. Every time one of these soldiers saw me, they stopped and saluted. When we finally arrived at Josef's office, his entourage saluted us and left. He closed the door and took a seat. This must be something serious. Especially since you invited me here. It is important that you don't get misinformed on this matter. Vulcan has another agenda. He leaned back and interlocked his hands. The situation with Rumberg is getting worse, and our lack of funding in the military means that we would fight for survival in a war scenario. What are our options in improving the situation? We're making all the necessary preparations, but any substantial military support from other nations would be a welcome deterrent against Rumburg. As a result of the recent deal with Wayland, we have started reinforcing the border. Forward scouts have been deployed and have started moving our divisions. Rest assured, we are ready for anything that will come from the other side of the border. We will be providing our reports to you. Do not let a single deserter pass our border. We won't, Mr. President. Yosef cleared his throat. Let's move on to our main topic. The mandatory conscription law has become a matter of discussion, and we need to strike a decision whether to keep it or remove it. The facts are that the conscription gives us a large reservist pool that can cover a larger front line, but these troops lack the morale and quality to be offensive elements. My argument would be to remove conscription if our military can stand on its own 2 feet without them. If we're going to have strong allies, why do we need conscripts? Yosef, prior to his position as minister, he held the position of Inspector General of the Army, serving directly under the Chief of Staff of the Swedish Army. Captain of Civil War under the command of Tarkin Saul before his presidency. Nationwide fame, accomplished in the Wayland Civil War. Popular figure among the wars. His biggest critic, he was a big critic of Alfonso. Okay. Maybe we should have gone with PMCs. Never understood why people are scared of spiders. I don't really get it either, Banana. Spiders are adorable. Spiders are cool. Turn that down just a smidge. Picked up a frog once? I've never held a frog. They seem cool, but they also seem kind of slimy. I'm not really into the slime. I like spiders because they're real dry. A strong knock on the door was heard by the chief of the armed forces. Vulcan Kruger walked in quickly with a frown. What's the meaning of this, Yosef? Why haven't I been invited? What's going on here? You are overstepping and interrupting a personal meeting between me and the president. Vulcan deliberated the situation. I see what's going on here. I mean, no disrespect, but I am leading the ground operations, and I must be informed of any strategic changes. Vulcan has a point. The military needs to be on the same page of any changes. Thank you, Mr. President. We were talking about our national defense, which must be consulted among all staff. To clarify, we would have brought the subject up with the general staff and you. The matter is rather simple from my point of view. Our forces have undergone large structural changes, changing the operational capabilities and tactics. However, at the end of the day, Rumburg has a larger army, air force, and navy. Our conscripts will fill the much-needed weaknesses we have. Throwing bodies at the problem never solved it. This doctrine worked for decades so far. Agreed, there is a place for reservists, I think. Mr. President, we need to prioritize quality over quantity. Your final decision, Mr. President? Oh, it's time we have a professional force of willingly enlisted soldiers. I don't know. I mean, if we are going air power, then yeah, let's remove the mandatory conscription. Alright, then we can move on. Let me look over my documents to see if anything else is concerned. Yosef checks his folder and looking at me. That's about it. I won't take any more of your time. Have a good day. I left the Ministry of Defense and returned to Maroon Palace. Oh, that was quick. That went a lot faster than I thought it would. Our government budget increased because we scuttled some of our military. Fight against the BFF continues in Bergia. Boys to men, not without conscription. Governor of Bergia issues resettlement order. Special zone declares war on the bloodish people. Women march for equal education in Anrika. Freedom! Swordish boys no longer forced to fight. Let me look at my military. Lack of reservists. Yeah, we do not have a reserve anymore. I probably should have invested more capital into the military then. I'm not sure if Rumburg is gonna try and I don't think Rumburg is gonna move in on us before we have like an investment in another investment budget like next year. So what's my opinion on the summer update? The newest summer update? I like some of the maps. I really like Citadel. Hello, Harry Christ. Frogs are not slimy. Oh, I gotta sneeze. Frogs aren't slimy? I thought they were. If not, then maybe they're okay. What's my opinion on the summer update so far? Oh, I like how they added, Lieutenant W. Freighter, Harry Dubois. I love how they added his whole outfit for the heavy. I think that's funny as hell. And then I liked Citadel as a map. Some of the maps were pretty good. Aqueduct, Aqueduct I'm on the fence about, but, you know, you can't really go wrong with the payload. It's just a pretty classic, I mean, it's a pretty classic TF2 update at this point. New cosmetics, new maps. ATO hails nuclear breakthrough, advanced tech promises. The ATO has proudly announced a major nuclear breakthrough that promises not only to revolutionize its military capabilities, but also greatly enhance its energy sector. The newly developed technology showcases the scientific prowess of the Alliance and reinforces its strategic position on the global stage. This state-of-the-art technology combines novel nuclear reactor designs and advanced materials that could potentially make nuclear power safer, more efficient, and more sustainable. For the military, this means the development of a compact and powerful reactors for naval vessels, increasing their endurance and operational capabilities. In the energy sector, this nuclear breakthrough could mean a cleaner and more plentiful source of power, helping to meet the escalating global demand for energy and addressing concerns about climate change. The ATO hopes this advancement will usher in a new era of sustainable growth and energy independence for its member nations. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Alright, let's take a look. Governor Braun enacts resettlement order. Governor Braun has issued a resettlement order allowing the eviction of bloodish citizens suspected of supporting the BFF and dividing up their communities. This policy has caused controversy and black backlash, with many seeing it as a violation of the Constitution and calling for the judiciary to strike the order down. The order is seen as a violation of human rights and an attempt to target the bloodish community. The governor argues that it is necessary for security concerns and to combat the BFS influence in the region, and claimed that his authority as the governor of Bergia gives him the legal right to pursue such policies for peace and stability in the region. The situation remains tense, and it is uncertain how this policy will affect the already fragile social fabric of Bergia. Bergen. Thank you. Alright, so Anrika should also be having like an increased business injection. Women's Rights March. A group of demonstrators led by representatives from the Swordish League of Women marched in Anrika. Calling for gender equality in Swordland's public education system, women were also among the counter-protesters who argued for the right to keep educating girls separately from boys in order to preserve Swordish tradition. Jen has an NFP mare. It hasn't been touched at all. Police raid on the Young Swords. Dangerous Young Swords members were arrested and gathering at the local pub of the St. Das district of Jen. After local intelligence was tipped off by an anonymous source, the raid in the pub resulted in the death of 2 Young Sword members, 1 civilian, in a gunfight that broke out. Excellent. We love to shoot the fascist children. Is this the equivalent of Europe? Spider, I believe it. I mean, it looks like we are. I mean, I think Rumburg is supposed to be Russia, and I think Volgsland is supposed to be either like Finland or Sweden or something like that, or Denmark. I think Swordland, who we're playing as right now, is supposed to be like Latvia or Lithuania or like one of the. If I'm not mistaken, it's supposed to be one of the Baltic countries. I'm not sure though. It does take place in like a fictional Cold War between the Communist Continent Security Pact and the Capitalist Arcasian Treaty Organization. You get to interact with like your neighbors and see how it goes. Wayland here is basically Saudi Arabia. Agnolia, I'm not really sure, but it's kind of like Europe, yeah. What's my opinion on Summertime Saga? I don't know what Summertime Saga is. Blech. Hello, Froggy Lord. What's up? Is this a teleport area for other characters? Could be. Where is America? America, I believe the Arcasians are America, and they're not on the map right now. They are not on this map. This map is like a zoomed-in version of the planet that we're on, whatever planet this is, so they're over here somewhere, I guess. Conrad? United Contania has finished moving its ship to the Conrad Naval Base. As per the terms of the new agreement, the United Continent military is allowed to refuel and repair access to the naval base in exchange for providing logistical, financial, and equipment support to Swordland. What was the blue faction called again? The blue faction was called the ATO, the Arcasian Treaty Organization. A briefing on the current economic situation from the Ministry of Economy in Holsword. The team gathered in Holsword at the Ministry of Economy to go over the current economic situation. The building was constructed in 1892 by Heron Walt, possibly the most famous architect in Swordland. It was simple and elegant structure with a few of its signature domes spread out over the roof. I walked through the large bronze doors, 2 assistants led me upstairs to a meeting room. If it's supposed to be like NATO, Arcasia is an ocean? Oh, okay. Then maybe you're right, Spider. Maybe it is supposed to be like NATO. I think it is supposed to be like NATO, yeah. Everyone stood up as I entered the room, buttoning their suit jackets. Welcome, Mr. President. Please take your seats. Everyone took their seats. As you know, today we'll go over our economic status. Let's begin without further ado. The aid we received from United Contania has helped us a lot, although I heard some rumors. There were many people who opposed this decision, especially the Lotherberg group. Regardless of what they think, the capital will certainly be handy. We now have another weapon to combat this recession. I would expect nothing less from our United Continent. I had to do whatever it took to end a recession, even if it meant a deal with United Contania. Sometimes we need to make sacrifices. I think everyone in this room understands that, Mr. President. Hello, Graham. Just passing by. Oh, gotcha, Graham. Well, have a good one, man. Thanks for stopping in. NATO was made to counter Russia. Yeah, NATO was made to counter the Warsaw Pact, the Comintern, the Fourth International. How are we doing in terms of our infrastructure? The Third International. The success of the first infrastructure project is already showing a positive effect on the economy. Mikhail started grinning as he leaned forward. Thanks to the high-speed railway, our 2 most important cities are linked faster. We're expecting quick economic growth at Greater Holsort and Gelsland. The Business Council is satisfied with this infrastructure improvement. It was a gargantuan effort from our side of the Ministry of the Economy. Your efforts are noted. Everyone who has contributed is greatly appreciated. Positive results show that we are on the right path towards economic growth. The people are already speaking of the positive turn. I can see the reaction in society. Let's hear the stats of our deal with Wayland. Our trade deal with Wayland has increased our imports and exports by 60% in 1 month, which is considerably good number. Perfect. Regardless, the numbers are clear. Oh, hang on, I got a text. I have to pay attention to my texts because one of my coworkers is coming over tonight. I must say, I still can't get behind the trade deal with Wayland, especially when it involves a military cooperation. I feel like we have made a contract with the devil. The devil? Victor Schmolak is not a bad man. Reaping the benefits, we will come out on top here. What is done is done. I hope this was the right decision. There is certainly no use deliberating that decision now. Increased trade has improved our economy. I see this as a reason for celebration. On a side note, consumer spending has decreased further due to pessimistic mood caused by our economic issues. That's discouraging. We've done the best we could thus far. I'm confident we'll turn this mood around with adapted projects and solutions. Good to hear. We will do better. While I agree that our first attempts were not successful, we still might have economic opportunities left. It isn't good for our reputation. The people expected quick solutions. We are running out of time. The central bank has begun working on a bill with the Grand National Assembly to increase our preparedness for future damaging economic incidents. The issues surrounding the energy prices and the imbalance they cause in the markets are also of pressing concern. Average citizens and businesses are suffering. After the Central Bank Reinforcement Act, our focus will shift to primarily tackle the energy inflation crisis in the country. We will present a bill about this in the near future if the situation regresses. The NBC will also lend support to the analysis and contingency plans regarding the ongoing developments. I'm looking forward to further collaboration between our departments to solve upcoming issues. Simon checked his large dossier. Sadly, our budget reserves don't look so good. We will need to look into whatever we can to increase the budget we have. What can we do about it? I will formulate a plan to present you with the next steps. As per the latest data from the ministry, the recession unfortunately seems to be lingering still in some economic areas. No matter the cost, we will have to increase our economic development rates. Otherwise, I'm sad to say that we will be doomed. We need to use the opportunities we have been given. Trade deals and infrastructure improvements always help. Mr. President, I will be very clear. Simone took off his glasses and put them on the table. He looked at me straight in the eye. You already know this, and I don't want to frighten you, but if we are unable to stop this recession, we are heading towards an economic catastrophe that has never been seen before in Swordland. No, in all of Eastern Merkova. I can't even begin to imagine how we could survive that. None of us wants to see Swordish people starve while the state is unable to provide for its citizens. None of us want that, Simon. None of us, exactly. He put on his glasses. Now, there are a few methods we can use to tackle the recession. Our debt situation is awfully bad, and I heavily advise against further expenditures. However, I will still present new projects and leave the decision to you, Mr. President. There are two main distinctions between these projects. It's either about continuing our infrastructure improvements or investing in increasing production. If we continue working on our infrastructure, that would lift us up to advanced country levels. However, our industrial production also needs a boost to return to pre-recession levels. There is, of course, the option to not take any risks related to our budget. The plans for these projects will be finalized soon. For now, I can provide preliminary information. Which one would you like to hear first? Tell me about the infrastructure projects. We are Keynesians. We will invest and we will spend. We will invest and that will cause our people to spend, and we will run in circles. Swordland forever. What are the projects that can improve our infrastructure? For infrastructure, we have two projects. One is the Benfey International Airport. Benfey is on the east coast, there. And the other is the Morna port. Morna wants a port, huh? We could do that. Decreased unemployment. Could be good for us. I think I'd rather build the airport. Benfey is growing at a rapid pace and would benefit highly from an international airport. Much more money to be made there, too. The Morna port will boost trade and improve the flow of goods towards Holsword because the Conriat port is too small in capacity and extension is blocked by the Navy headquarters. Oh, that's a good point. Now, I think I usually invest in the Benfey airport, but I think this time I'm gonna go with the port. Advanced logistical connection to Holsword would be better utilized. I don't think investing in Morta with a port would do much to change our economic prospects. Goods are flowing from other places just as fast. Increased imports and exports on a more accessible path to Holsword is very lucrative in my opinion. Time is money. I agree with Edith. The Morta port will mean a great deal to our trade and improve the economy of the Lorraine region too. What other projects could we use to boost our production? For production, we have two projects. One is the Sarna Agricultural Zone. Sarna and Bergia. We don't want to invest in Bergia. And the other is the Conrad Industrial City. Ooh. I see the Sarna Agricultural Zone investment as a higher priority due to the fact that the farmers in Bergia were the most hit by the recession. Sarna also is a much poorer city than Conrad. The Conrad Industrial City project has the potential to increase manufacturing in Greater Holsword region by a large amount. I'm really focusing here on the core. I'm really focusing here on Greater Holsword right now. It's just a lot easier for us to wrangle. Conrad could benefit from a larger manufacturing industry. It could bring the city to a position where it could rival a Shaven. We should invest and develop Conrad to diversify the economy in Greater Holsword, which would mean a great deal. Manufacturing investments are the kind of investments we need for a healthy economy and our currency strength. Conrad is a developing city with a lot of potential, while Sarna and Bergia regions are lackluster. I have enough information. Very well. That covers our subjects today. I have a couple more economy-related questions. Do I? How strong is our currency right now? Currency health and economic output degraded significantly and nearly crashed the Swordfish Wren. Our currency is on the course to actually crash if we don't act. Catastrophic losses in our financial strength are observed at the central bank, especially compared to pre-election levels. Inflation has increased by 20 percentage points year on year this quarter. Dang. Dang, inflation has increased by 20 percentage points year on year this quarter. That's bad. That's so bad. Alright, well then what's the mood at the National Business Council? You should totally print more money? I think so, Spider. The business leaders in the council are nervous about the lack of tangible economic improvements in the country. They are holding on to their investments until they feel it is safe to invest their reserves in new hires or branches. Okay, what about our trade situation? Our success in reaching... Wait. Nervous about the lack of tangible economic improvements. Our success in reaching a trade deal has boosted our position as a regional trade route and increased the likelihood of potential trade partners. We have imported and exported more across the board with all countries except Rumburg. Thank you. That concludes the meeting. Have a good day, all. Goodbye. Until our next time, Mr. President. See you soon. I'd like to invest in both projects, to be honest with you. Ooh, it's time for Operation Bear Trap. After I take a report. Astor locals bear the brunt of high energy. The escalating energy prices are causing distress among the locals in Astor. Residents are feeling the pinch as the cost of essential utilities skyrocket. The adverse impact on the community's quality of life and economic well-being is rising, and concerns and calls are immediate effect. That's a lot of news. Energy crisis looms over Swordland, addressing the energy inflation, a proposed act. Ishval Erzin versus Governor Braun and the Swordish Constitution. Housewives march to defend Swordish tradition in Anrica. Wayland border reinforcements announced. Energy prices on the rise for Sordish consumers. Central bank bill, unnecessary measure. Ishval Erzin is right. Rain closes door to refugees from Wayland. Protesters brutally beaten by violence. Amid spiking tensions with Agnolia, Vogsland increases naval presence. Swordland's diplomacy disappoints. Operation Bear Trap begins. The Republic of Agnolia. Van Horten warns about Voglandian presence. Prime Minister Van Horten warned us about the increasing naval presence of Vogsland in the Marcaean Sea. He showed he wishes to have stronger naval cooperation with Swordland. That's not going to happen. We want Vogsland to have heliport. I don't mind. I don't mind it at all. United Contanian ships show support to Vogslandian fleet. Several of the United Contanian destroyers stationed in the joint Conriat naval base have left the port of Conriat in the morning to join the Vogslandian fleet, which is patrolling around the island of Heliport. Of Helliland. Damn, we're gonna have a world war here soon. 8. Hello, Adrian. 8 indeed. Polio cases discovered in rural Uzurian. Reports from our border cities indicate that the polio outbreak in Wayland has been moving towards Swordland. Specifically, there has been a sharp increase in cases in rural Uzurian and nearby villages. Health professionals have been dispatched to curb the infections by quarantining the patients. There are currently 23 active cases in Swordland. Well, with our extra investment into our healthcare system, it shouldn't be that bad. Protest against Governor Braun's resettlement order. A massive protest erupted in Erzeren against Governor Braun's latest resettlement policies. The order gives the governor the authority to evict bloodish citizens suspected of supporting the BFF and divide up their communities within the special zone. The protests were largely peaceful, but tensions rose when Bergian security forces arrived to disperse the crowd, leading to some clashes. The governor's controversial policy has sparked widespread anger among bloodish communities and human rights groups who have called for the order to be repealed. The situation in Bergia remains volatile, and it is recommended that the government engage in dialogue with all parties to defuse tensions and find a peaceful resolution to the crisis. Erzin versus Swordland. A landmark court filing has been appealed to the Court of Appeals today and is under review by the Minister of Justice. Lawyer and bloodish civil rights activist Ishval Erzin sued Governor Felix Braun for the infringement of constitutional rights. The case questions the legality of the Religious Harmony Bill, the separate legal treatment of the bloodish and Daer, and by extension in the whole of Bergia. Ishval Erzin argues the Governor Braun's policies, including the controversial resettlement policy, infringes upon the right of property of the bloodish citizens. He claims that Articles 6 and 7 of the Constitution, as well as the institution of the Special Zone, are in direct conflict with the Constitution, and thus allows the separate treatment of the bloodish in all of Bergia and beyond. Dang. Wasn't the polio vaccine invented around this time? I think so. Spider. That sounds about right. Governor of Bergia Felix Braun reports that a large group of students gathered in protest in downtown Daer, disrupting traffic and acting violently. The police immediately reacted and the situation was brought under control. Alright, investments into mega projects, meeting of the escalating tensions in Bergia, and the ERA bill proposed a whole sword to combat energy inflation. The Grand National Assembly in Wholesword has drafted the Energy Inflation Reduction Act in response to the recent surge in energy prices. The bill proposes a temporary price cap on gas prices, bilateral agreements with energy-rich countries, and the expansion of domestic energy production. This comprehensive approach is geared to mitigate the inflationary pressures on energy prices and stimulate domestic economic growth. We'll see what the bill specifies. I don't mind an energy crash, to be honest with you. Who's gonna know? Alright, let's do a meeting on the tensions in Bergia first. I kinda want Graf and Nia to break it down for me. Scheduled a meeting to discuss an ongoing legal case that required our attention. Early in the morning, we convened in my office. Thank you for being here at this hour, Mr. President. We need to inform you about some news from Bergia. There is a court case initiated by a bloodish citizen which involves a possible revision of the Constitution. Unfortunately, it has the potential to affect the whole country. I'm listening. I'll start from the beginning. As you know, after the discovery of KA-74s and separatist hideouts, there have been more than a few attacks initiated and claimed by the BFF. Due to the lack of security funding, some of these otherwise avoidable attacks couldn't be stopped. This led to some increase in the tensions in Bergia. The main problem is with the security structure of Bergia. Due to the special status of the region, operations on the ground are run by local security forces that are not bound to the interior, which means my hands are tied. Unfortunately, the court backlog is piling up with increasingly frequent rulings that are unjust. This has led to many of our citizens losing their trust in our justice system. This is particularly a problem with the residents of Bergia. If you survive polio, you are severely crippled most of the time permanently. Your muscles just weaken so much. Damn. The polio. The polio. What year is it, for real? What year is it indeed? It's definitely not helping with the increasing tensions between the Bloodish population and the Swords. It increased even further after Operation Bear Trap. We have been receiving more and more intelligence about some kind of preparation by the terrorists. We can't allow the conflict in Wayland to spread to Swordland, and we know that Wayland and Swordland divisions of the BFF are in close cooperation. This is worrying. The increasing threat of the BFF led Governor Braun to justifiably resort to his emergency powers to curb the danger. His discovery of militant training grounds disguised as schools was commendable, as well as his quick handling of the bomb threats coming from major cities like Dare. However, his latest policies have been questionable, especially the peaceful resettlement order. It has been met with massive anger from the majority of Bloods in the region. This is a massive understatement. Governor Braun has abused his powers and clearly acted against the Constitution. Quite surprisingly, Ishval Erzin has managed to successfully push his case to the higher courts. He's suing Felix Braun for infringing upon the liberties of Bloodish people. He also raises a conflict in the Constitution and argues that the way it's written makes it open to interpretation and allows people like Governor Braun to abuse their powers. Who is Ishval Erzin? Ishval Erzin is a lawyer and Bloodish rights activist. There he is, our boy. He lives in Dare and has experienced the systemic racism in the region firsthand. He has evicted last month from his home in Dare on the grounds of threatening public stability and safety. He was also shot at by local law enforcement forces several times in the last 2 years and managed to survive it all so far. The attackers, of course, were never punished. As much as the eviction seems unjust, Mr. Erzin must be further investigated for his potential ties to dangerous organizations. I'd like to believe the forces wouldn't have fired on him without proper reason. Are you joking, Ms. Graff? You'd like to believe the police are getting out of control under your management? Ms. Graff is right. We must first be completely sure that Mr. Erzin is innocent. I'll look into it, Mr. President. What exactly is the case about? Oh, thank you, Banana. So that's polio. By the way, the polio vaccine was not invented yet. Good luck to those guys. Yeah, for real. Good luck to you guys. Good luck to anybody getting the polio right now. Ishval Erzin is claiming that the current constitution gives the legal grounds to discriminate against Bloodish people, directly infringing upon their rights as citizens. He claims Article 7 of the Constitution, citing the line, "Every sword is equal before the law." It's in direct conflict with the freedoms and rights defined in Article 100. Governor Felix Braun is accused of using Article 7 to justify his oppression of the Bloodish community. What are the accusations? Mr. Braun has sadly evicted thousands of Bloods from their homes in Dare recently. The fact that this has happened in the city with relatively low levels of BFF activity is a sloppy decision at best. A sloppy decision? This is a direct violation of their right to property. The BFF activity levels have nothing to do with this. But it does, Miss Morgna. The state can take any measure to fight with terror inside its borders. The decision would have been justified if those neighborhoods were in fact labeled as threat level red. But they are not, hence he did not have the authority to evict those citizens. In this case in Dare, the governor has definitely violated his authority. You're not underplaying it. This eviction was only the last of many he ordered as part of Berkey's peaceful resettlement policies. This is not about Dare. There are hundreds of accusations listed in this case, ranging from violent actions by law enforcement officers to open discrimination in local municipalities. Calm down, Nia dear. I'm not disagreeing with you. What exactly does Erzin claim about the conflict in the Constitution? As you know, the rights and liberties Article 7 alludes to are described in Article 100 in further detail. All citizens in theory can exercise their rights described in these articles and are equally subject to laws described, and these rights cannot be suspended by the government under any circumstances other than in defense of war. Ms. Erzin claims the line, "Every sword is equal before the law," in Article 7 does not include other ethnicities and thus gives the state the right to suspend or limit the rights of non-swords defined in Article 100. Courts have repeatedly protected Governor Braun in the past, and it's true that he bets on Mr. Hawker justifying his actions through Article 7. However, there's also Article 6, which the courts could have taken into account already. What's the problem with Article 6? Fuck, dude! I hate law, just shoot him. As you know, Article 6 goes, everyone who is bound to the Swordish state by a citizenship is a sword, which clarifies clearly that the Constitution does not discriminate against other ethnicities or cultures. Citizens of this country are called swords. But did you ask Bloodish people what they think? Yes, it's true that this article has protected them on a number of occasions, as it's defined sword as a non-ethnic term, but it is left up to interpretation of the courts. They could have argued that Article 6 extends the rights defined in Article 7 to all citizens of Swordland regardless of race, but they didn't. Yet, they could potentially push this case to the Supreme Court. Nia stacked the papers in front of her. In any case, the situation might be troubling if it reaches the Supreme Court and Mr. Hawker manages to sabotage it. By altering the current interpretation, it would be disastrous for Bloodish rights. I will be doing my best to ensure a positive result come out of this case, but I'm not sure if the centrists would be willing to agree with Ms. Erzin. Why would Mr. Hawker even sabotage it? The current interpretation is strictly solaced. I'm sure he will follow the Constitution and charge Governor Braun for unconstitutional behavior. According to the foundational views of this republic, everyone who is a citizen of this country is a sword. The Constitution is clear about this and does not allow for discrimination. Maybe Hawker is not the man you think he is, Miss Graff. From what I've heard, his stance on the subject may not be the standard solaced interpretation, but something darker. I'm afraid he'll reject the case altogether and find Governor Braun innocent. If this happens, it would make discrimination against Bloodish people legal. Honestly, I couldn't care less. It would be better for this country. Nia recoiled with shock. I hope you're joking, Mr. President. To be honest, I don't think this is a matter for your administration. We must keep out from judicial affairs. As much as I hate to say it, I somewhat agree with Ms. Lelius on this. I prefer to keep the status quo over risking a complete abolishment of rights. We still have the power to make tangible reforms. You're right, we shouldn't meddle in the judiciary. There is, however, something that the government can do to adjust this situation on the ground. It is time we push for the change within the security structure of Bergia and the special status that results in de facto autonomy. Clearly isn't working. The resettlement policies in Bergia and Urzen case have changed the mood of the lawmakers. We can still use this opportunity to push for the removal of Saul's security zone decree. It is a much bigger possibility than before. Of course, racism is rampant throughout the country, but Bloodish citizens inside Bergia are having a much worse time than the Bloodish residents of cities like Leshaven or Holsort. We focus on Bergia, we can remove its special status. This alone would be a huge step for Bloodish rights. Unfortunately, as long as Governor Braun is in charge of Bergia, with the powers he has, no judicial reforms would reverse the situation on the ground. To put it simply, we want to work on detailed proposals to restructure Bergia. I believe it must become a region of Swordland like any other. We must centralize the system and abolish the local security forces. I don't know about that either. My legalists are not going to be happy with what I have to say about this. For a more severe case, it can still leave you with lifelong breathing difficulties. Also, long after you're infected decades, you may get post-polio syndrome, which causes your muscles and joints to weaken and can cause breathing problems. That's so scary. Polio is so scary. Yeah, isn't polio making a comeback now that people are like anti-vax? Are you actually assuming that your security force can do a better job than the Bergian police? Local change is more important than removing the basis of discrimination over. I don't agree with the changing of the structure in Bergia now. We shouldn't disrupt Governor Braun's policies. I can't believe it. Are you really supportive of Governor Braun's policies? Yeah, I mean, he's killing them. Why wouldn't I be? I don't want to move against the USP figure right before a constitutional amendment. This is not the point. There's no reason. There's a reason why Bergia is a special zone. We cannot simply act like the secessionist movement doesn't exist. I thought the same once, Mr. President, but it's clearly not working. Bloodish people are increasingly being radicalized, and the BFF is exploiting the tensions the governor's creating. The reality is that we need to address the security problems in Bergia. This Bloodish issue could get out of hand and become our #1 security net. Hear me out. Nia and I both agree we need to abolish the special zone. This is the first point the proposal will address. This would also mean taking away the special authority of the governor. I agree with removing the governor as well as his insane authority, but I don't support a complete centralization of the region. I propose that we restructure the special zone, democratize it, and acknowledge the Bloodish movement. How does this resolve anything? How do you solve any problem by dividing the region from the rest of Swordland? We've tried that already. I agree. Replacing a special zone with another one wouldn't help anyone. My proposal is very simple. The special zone must be fully revoked, governor's powers taken away, and the local security forces must be abolished. Only then Bergia can be equal part of Swordland. I propose we unite Bergia with the rest of Swordland and enforce the same laws and policy as any other Swordish region, dismantling the current semi-independent security structure in the process. We will hold local municipal elections just like every city in Swordland. The security in the region will be under the full control of the Ministry of the Interior. We can no longer allow their forces to pursue violence and impunity. If this was a problem that the central government could fix, your mighty colonel would have solved it already. The assimilation policies clearly didn't work. What does that have to do with anything? I'm just saying the solution is not a rushed unification. We must acknowledge that Bergia is a unique region with its own culture and history. We cannot disregard the social reality. Revoke the special status of Bergia and unify it with the rest of Swordland. I want to hear Miss Morden's plan before deciding. Thank you, Mr. President. Millions of Bloodish people suffered over the last decades. We saw a massive uprising, terror attacks, and the governor going rogue. These people only wanted to live in this country as equals, but they were denied that. Why don't we allow Bergians to elect their own local government? Why is Holsword so keen on prying into the lives of Bloodish people? We should replace the oppressive laws of the special zone with a democratic system that allows for proper local representation. I propose the Bergia semi-autonomous region. Sorry to tell you, Miss Morgna, but Bergia is part of the Swordland as much as Agenland and Wholesword. You're bringing up secessionist Feta Asia's lifelong quest here as your proposal. What's wrong with you? What's next? Secession of Bergia and a formation of an independent bloodish state? Autonomy for Agenland? And why don't you hold your referendum for the Rums of Astord? And ask them if they want to join Rumburg while you're at it. Bergia shouldn't have any restrictions or privileges compared to any other region. I'm supportive of semi-autonomous in Bergia, what the mainstream bloodish movement wants. I don't agree with either of you. Not risk drastic change. Bergia should stay as it is. I want to start working on the possibility of adding a new amendments to our proposal instead so we get root of the matter. Bergia shouldn't have any restrictions or privileges compared to any other region. We're annexing. We're annexing territory. Will I support the racism or no racism? Can't they just be nice to each other? For real, Spider. Lilia smiled. So it's decided then. I can start working on the proposal as soon as possible. Miss Graff, you can get to work immediately. I'm counting on you. Of course, Mr. President, right away. This is a mistake. Please, Miss Morgna, you've heard the President. I'll start working on the proposal immediately. It's very important to get this right, so it will take some time. My estimate is that it will be ready sometime after the vote on your constitutional amendments. You can choose to enact it then. Sounds good. I'm counting on you. Great, I'll work on it. See you later, Mr. President. They bid their farewells and leave the room. All right, we're going to be annexing Bergia into the greater Wholesword. Into greater Swordland. Gasm thrives, new investments yield success, finally. A rising star in United Catania? Vice Secretary Chairman Cynthia Ayatek. Steadily sparking speculations. Leshaven has something for me. Increased business and trade. Balanced energy prices. Gotcha, Kai. See you around, man. The National Business Council in Leshaven has reported a balanced energy market. Despite regional fluctuations, Leshaven has maintained stable energy prices, which have had a positive impact on local economy. This stability is fostering an encouraging business environment and promoting economic well-being among the populace. How's our diplomacy looking? Rumburg expansionism. Balanced energy. Ooh, our energy has been balanced. Our energy prices have balanced out. Investment into ooh, this is what I like to see. We love to invest, don't we, folks? The Ministry of Economy has put forward 4 bold plans on investment projects, with each aiming to solve different issues ranging from production to infrastructure. The 4 available investments are the Benfi International Airport, the Morna Seaport, the Conriat Industrial Zone, and the Sarna Agricultural Zone. I'm gonna invest in the Morna Seaport. A Torp. Torp is getting a seaport. That way our rail line connects from Morna and then all the way to Leshaven and back again. We're investing in we're directly investing in Wholesword. Oh, we probably should have selected the Conriat industrial farm. All right, what's the problem? There, budget allocation of healthcare and Central Bank Reinforcement Act. The CBR bill has been passed by the GNA. The Central Bank Reinforcement Act, led by Edith Agnog, and the GNA intends to bolster the strength and stability of Swordland's national currency and bolster the overall economy. The GNA advocates for the following measures. Section 1 mandates the accumulation of foreign exchange reserves. By buying foreign currencies, especially those of Swordland's main trading partners, the central bank can exert more control over the value of currency. Section 2 outlines the adoption of a prudent fiscal policy. By reducing the national debt and limiting budget deficits, the country could present itself as a more stable economic entity, attracting foreign investments and improving our credit rating, which in turn would enable us to borrow at lower interest rates if necessary. Reducing the national debt and limiting budget deficits. Limiting budget deficits could be bad for us. Currently, we're at a budget deficit of a maximum of 30. Section 3 proposes increased legal and informational support for industries with high export potential, such as our emerging electronics sector in Gelsord, wine production in Boren, and pharmaceutical manufacturing in Leshaven. By increasing exports, the demand for our currency on the international market will rise, thus strengthening its value. Increases legal and informational support for industries with high export potential. Yeah, sure. Let's sign it. We'll see what that has an effect on our economy. Central Bank Act, a stronghold for Swordland. Op-ed, a misguided attempt at control. The Central Bank Reinforcement Act aims to enhance the stability of Swordland's national currency and bolster the overall economy with the fiscal protection measure. Implemented robust fiscal protection measures aimed at safeguarding the national economy against potential shocks, ensuring its long-term sustainability and growth. Alright, let's invest in the healthcare system in Dare. We'll see how this goes. I was having my afternoon tea in the State House officer in Dare and going through my newspapers. One of the headlines piqued my interest. It read, Polio Crisis in Wayland. Before I could start reading, I heard a couple of knocks. Pascal entered, followed by Lucien. Mr. President, it's time for the scheduled healthcare meeting. Good afternoon. Please take your seats. They had taken their seats, and Pascal produced documents from a suitcase. He put them on the table. Pascal looked at the newspaper I was reading. Very troubling news from Wayland, Mr. President. I was just returning from a meeting with our top scientists on the matter of polio. It seems to be spreading. That might have dire consequences in the region. He nodded. What I was told by our researchers was that with the current infection rate, there will soon be millions of people affected by polio. Welcome back, Medkit. So we've notified all of our healthcare staff, especially the ones close to the Wayland border. Unfortunately, these are also more rural areas where we lack equipment and staff. We need to be ready for any possibility. I doubt it is that serious yet. Regardless, back to the topic, Mr. Benewall. Pascal put his reading glasses and went through the documents. He didn't say anything for a whole minute. Mr. Benewall. Yes, of course. Let's start. He put the papers down, cleared his throat, and looked at me. In general, I'm very content with the budget decision that was made. This comes as no surprise, as I know you're a man of your word. The overall mood has been positive as the administration focuses more on the healthcare. I'm excited about what we can achieve with the allocated funds. Do you have any specific area of focus in mind? I'm personally invested to solve the horrible infant and maternal death rates, along with your requests. As you know, I've been preparing a new privatization program that would create funds through the selling of unused ministry property and some extra taxes. I know this too, Pascal, but this goes against our economic doctrine. Additionally, health is a key sector people expect to have in public hands. Aside from creating additional funds, there's a long-term problem with privatization in a country like Swordland. And he's right. We're not going to be privatizing the healthcare system. It's not going to happen. I live in America. The last thing you want is a private healthcare system. Also in country where most people don't have access to quality healthcare. I do agree that there is concern there, but the benefits of competitive and quality services is greater. This is not Arcasia nor Lesbia. You're talking about Swordland, in which the healthcare is free for now. We have people who have their lives depending on the service that is free to them. Messing with that structure will definitely hurt us politically in the future, that I know for sure. But the choice is yours, Mr. President. We'll keep the healthcare in state control. Don't allow any private involvement that could endanger core health services. As you wish, the health services shall remain in public hands. Good choice. Let's get to the big question of how we will spend the extra funds dedicated to the Ministry of Health. I urge you to consider these proposals. We could build new hospitals where necessary, divert funds to increase the salaries of our health workers, or invest in enhancing the existing treatment facilities in rural areas. Each of these options presents a unique path towards improving healthcare access and quality in Swordland. The people of Swordland, thank you! No private healthcare, and we never shall. Never in a day. Building new hospitals sounds interesting. It would also boost popularity. Increasing salaries would have a good effect for doctors, nurses, and other staff who work so hard for our citizens. Improving treatment in rural areas is a must. It would prevent mistreatment, disease, and sickness. I think improving treatment in rural area could be good. I think I would rather just increase salaries. There's merit in the proposal to increase salaries for all health staff with an extra emphasis on rural areas. This approach could incentivize doctors and nurses to work in these regions where their services are desperately needed. On a larger scale, it could boost satisfaction within the health industry and could contribute significantly to reducing maternal mortality rates, a goal that is close to my heart. Metropolitan areas are already reaping the benefits of our policies. The rural regions, which trail behind in income, deserve some attention. However, implementing a nationwide proportional salary boost would pay off politically. Building a new hospital sounds interesting. It would also boost our popularity. While the construction of new hospitals is an appealing idea, I personally don't see it as a primary concern. In my view, the pressing issue lies in the quality and accessibility of healthcare in remote areas. But certainly adding new healthcare facilities would be a positive step, particularly in underdeserved regions. Constructing new hospitals would score us significant political points. It's a visible, tangible improvement that we can present as our achievements. Improving treatment in rural areas is a must as well. The sad reality is that our rural clinics are woefully outdated, ill-equipped, and understaffed. This stark disparity between urban and rural healthcare is a major contributor to the high maternal mortality rates, prevalence, and other diseases in our rural communities. Addressing this issue is one of my key objectives in this term, and I believe an overhaul of the rural healthcare infrastructure is a critical step in that direction. We're seeing an uptick in minor outbreaks in specific regions. It's largely due to outdated facilities that lack proper hygiene standards and equipment. We can proceed with the decision. The Unfortunate Man, I depicted the hardships of poor mining family, a vivid illustration of the stark health inequalities in our society. As Minister of Health, I strive to rectify these disparities. Therefore, I believe improving treatment in rural areas should be our course of action, Mr. President. It would be best to consider the political advantages of each one, as well as the practical advantages before making a decision. A few minutes went by in contemplation as the moment to make a decision came near. Let's increase salaries, with incentives for rural areas. I'll prepare the increase as soon as possible. The workers will rejoice. Well, that wraps up our discussion for now. Very well, a fruitful meeting nevertheless, nice and short. Thank you for the meeting. Pascal gathered his documents and left along with Lucien. I do also enjoy a short meeting like that. Failed education reform? That's right. That's right. We are having a traditional education. The promotion of national identity and limited intellectual freedom. Failed education reform and a solaced education. Motivated health workers. We love to see it, though. At least we're healthy. We might be stupid, but at least we're healthy. Thousands protest the new governor of Helluland. The Ignolian government's increasing control over the Helluland administration. Ooh. Let's take a look at the Republic of Wayland. What's up with them? We have a trade agreement with them and a big oil trade with them. Wayland Border Report. Chief of the Armed Forces, Vulcan Kruger, reported that the Wejek Armed Forces are moving north towards the town of Vernon. On their way, many Blush villages were assaulted, and the initial reports indicate a high death toll. As they are approaching close to the border, Wejek Army's movement will be observed closely. Many displaced refugees from the battle have been seen moving towards the Sortish border. They have been turned around forcefully to ensure the complete defense of the border. Talks with friends Richter on the upcoming vote. Ooh, my god, I don't want to talk to Richter. Alright, I'm gonna be right back before I talk to Richter, dude. He's gonna chew me out. He's gonna chew me up and spit me out, man. I'll be right back. Okie doke, I'm back. Sorry, I had to go piss. I had to go piss as one does. Alright, hope everybody's having a good time so far. I do enjoy leading my country. What happened to everybody, Spider? They've all gone 0 Dark 30. They've shut off their communications because they're breaking into my house and they're gonna shoot me in the head. Agnolian Helluland. Hello, Andrew. What's up? Welcome. Talks with friends Richter on the upcoming vote. Ooh, he's gonna chew me out. He's gonna chew me up, man. He's gonna chew me up. The preparations for the new constitution were nearly complete. Soon we were going to propose it to the Grand National Assembly, a huge step for our administration. We desperately needed more support. That's why I had invited friends Richter for a chat about the upcoming vote. He and his party held the key to our success. We met in the presidential office at the end of the day. He arrived with his signature navy blue suit and handed me a box of famous Arcasian chocolates before settling down on the couch. It's good to have you here, Mr. Richter. Likewise, it's nice to finally have some time to talk. Just doing work over here? Glad to hear it, Rich. Glad to hear it. Don't wizards keep a force field around them at all times? Not this one. This one loves to get a bullet right to the brain. He took a folder from his briefcase and flipped it open. I could see the scribbles he'd made in the margins of my draft proposal. I have to say, I'm surprised by this proposal you prepared at the new Constitution. I really do not understand your reasoning behind some of the changes. What parts don't you understand? I don't know where to begin. You are not reforming the presidential decree process. This was not at all what we talked about. This has become the opposite of democratic. Not to mention that you have ignored our demands to lower the undemocratic electoral threshold. How are you calling this a democratic package? These were all necessary to maintain stability. Necessary? What kind of an excuse is that, Mr. President? If you're saying this while you're begging me for party support, I still believe we can accomplish meaningful change together. Do you even have to be worried about bullets? In space? Yeah, maybe not in space. Maybe we can, but I do not find the proposal by any means sufficient. I'm still not sure what to make of it. What are you thinking about? You're putting all the reformists in a tough spot like this, Mr. Rain. I'm sure it was tough to persuade your party to support this proposal, but this is what happens when you expect the USP to bring change. Don't expect me to sympathize with you. Not only have you minimized the potential of the reforms you're talking about, you're taking the spotlight away from the PFJP members who campaigned for these reforms for years. You better have something else to offer. I'm sure you have something in mind. I value swordland and democracy more than anything, Mr. President, and I also have to look out for myself and my party. Surely you understand. If we're talking about democracy here, I first need to trust your agenda, and I currently do not. The first bill you signed effectively removed all other parties from funding. You're hijacking the election from the very start. How can we trust you now? The bill also increased your funding, Mr. Richter. Oh, so I should be grateful for a small increase in funding while your party gets all the rest? I think it's too late to fix anything now. I can't see any deals being made. It's a shame things won't work out between us. I can try giving you a cabinet position. I'll try to give you a Are you joking? No, there may be some vacancies sooner or later. I can't believe that you'd offer such a thing. But alright, here's what I'll say. I'll try my best to convince my people to support this proposal even though they have their problems with it. I can't promise you full support, but then you can't promise me anything either. If everything works out, I'll expect you to at least try to fulfill your promise. If you can give me a cabinet position after we enact the reforms, it'd be a great partner for you, from the inside. I promise I'll figure... sounds good. Okay, that works for me. I don't need very many votes from the PFJP. I just need a little bit to get it across the grounds. And I don't mind Richter in a cabinet position. I mean, somebody's gonna retire, especially with how sexist we're being. Somebody's gonna retire. Was there anything else? I'm looking forward to your cooperation, Mr. Richter. We shook hands. It's nice to have a president that we can finally have a dialogue with. He laughed. I'll see you in the history books. Have a nice evening for now. This is how you make the moves, lads. This is how you make the moves. You promise people positions and then they get your bills passed. It's a pain in the ass, but it has to be done. At yesterday's party conference of the PFJP, Friends Richter announced that he will be giving his full support to the constitutional changes proposed by the USP. He asked the members of his party to follow him in this endeavor and set aside their differences for the greater good of the country. Excellent. Victory Day celebrations in Jen. Rain meets Richter. Richter backs Rain's reforms. I wonder what they talked about. Curious. I wonder what... Are you being corrupt? I mean... Not for the capitalists, but we are trying to be as corrupt as possible to get our reforms for, like, socialism and, like, theocracy up and running. Several companies have put forward their bids for the new investment project. Oh, yes. Underhall, Taurus, and Swordfish... Well, but of course we're going to go with the Swordfish State. They're our go-to. That's us. That's us. That's wee-wee. Wee-wee and all that. Update on the situation of education. A call from Gus Manger at the office of President of Swordland at the Maroon Palace. Gus, my boy, Gus. The sun was setting over Wholesword. I was in my office working on the preliminary details that Kiara sent over about the curriculum. The phone rang and I picked it up. Mr. President. Yes, what is it? Why do I want a theocracy? It would be fun. Mr. Manger is on the line, sir. He said it's about an investment. Excellent. Connect him through. As you wish. A momentary crackling noise indicated the line change. Mr. Manger, to what do I owe the pleasure? Mr. President, as your secretary might have informed you, I'm calling about what we discussed at the party. I'm honestly very glad that I have decided to attend Mr. Vice President's little gathering. Very enjoyable party turned out to be even more enjoyable with actual results out of it. You are absolutely right. Well then, I was very happy to inform you that our investment to procure the vineyard of Earlery has been accepted by the current resident. You're now the owner of the lovely vineyard, a beautiful villa, and sizable land. As I mentioned before, there might be some cost related to refurbishing the winemaking equipment, however. The facilities are there. I will have the deed and the key sent to you immediately. Congratulations are in order, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Manger. It wouldn't be possible without you. Thank you, Mr. President. You are too kind. I'm looking forward to more successful ventures we might do together in the future. Thank you for your time. Thanks again. Anytime. I will be in contact. Have a good evening, Mr. President. Well, look at us. We now own a vineyard. We own a vineyard and we got $1 back. Nice job, team. Nice job. Updates on the situation of education at the University of Volgan. After meeting with the director and a brief tour at the University of Volgan, we gathered in a room with Kiara. The entire campus was visible from the windows. Students were reading books, studying, and having picnics under the trees. It reminded me of my own times at Halsford State University, at least the more carefree moments. Gus likes you, so it would seem. So it would seem. Reminiscing about the past? How are your university years? The usual story. A few friends dead, a couple of them missing after the coups. Oh, and I was almost arrested once. We all went through tough times back then. Some of us more so than others. Let's not get sidetracked. I want to start off by saying this. Stagnation doesn't get anyone anywhere. Simply maintaining my ministry's funds got us sitting duck with the dozens of issues left unsolvable. Although I insist that the funds are still necessary to close the gaps in services, I can't say we have been entirely off track. I want to thank you for leading our education system in the right direction. Traditional teachings have long prevented proper progress. This is why we're here. She nodded and brought out a stack of papers from her bag. Spinning her ballpoint pen, she went through the papers, organizing some of them together. That's all there is for now. I've talked with Miss Suno to schedule some time to discuss the curriculum. She's a very astute woman, your secretary. You may want to consider promoting her. Miss Suno. Oh, no. We will meet again very soon. Thank you for your efforts. Kiara put the papers back in her bag and left the meeting room. Ah, okay, that was quick. That's our seaport in Morna being constructed. Let's see. Content and Security Pact has a Unity conference in Galmland. The CSP Unity Conference, recently held in Galmland, marked a pivotal juncture in resolving ideological dissonances within the Alliance. Galmland's influential leader, Brigda Holvestigier, hosted the gathering amid a burgeoning climate of ideological disagreements propelled by Galmish Manifesto. This innovative interpretation of Carlos Marcia's communist theory, with its focus on decentralized planning and worker self-management, has stirred up an ideological storm within the CSP. While Vogslandian socialism, sharing similar decentralist sentiments, is seemingly more compatible with the Galmish Manifesto, they diverge notably in their stance on international cooperation. The manifesto leans towards a cautious approach, preferring to build a self-reliant economy, whereas Vogslandian socialism champions interdependence, seeing it as a conduit for shared prosperity and security. This difference, albeit subtle, has led to real-world implications, like the instatement of trade tariffs between Galmland and Vogsland, demonstrating the impact of ideological dissonances on economic policies. The Unity Conference, despite the ideological contention, stressed the importance of common objectives, collective security and economic cooperation, and human rights. Overblown rights case has been appealed. A new mega-project, the Morna Port. Wayland refugees fleeing to the Swedish border. Erzin case goes to the Supreme Court. Press freedoms in UC, a diminishing space. Lashaven has the Gasm state shares divestment. The state can sell its shares in Gasm with varying budgetary results. Sell 2/3 of the shares, keep them for potential profit share in the future, which we will. Given the financial landscape revealed by the Gasm report, a strategic decision on the divestment of our shares in Gasm looms. It's now possible to consider selling an amount of our stake in the company or keep our shares for a potential future profit share. The future outcome will vary based on active share price of the company. We will hold our shares for now. Me when I invest in a company? Hold! Alright. Ministry of the Justice files Erzin versus Swordland Conference. Concurrence. The Ministry of Justice has reviewed the Erzin versus Swordland case and put forward its concurrence opinion before sending the dispute to the Supreme Court. The Minister of Justice, Mordna, came forward agreeing with the case of Ishvar Erzin and pointed out the majority of court dissent would do disservice to the legal precedent to future constitutional rights cases. The case is now in the hands of the Supreme Court. Briefing on the current curriculum in schools. Kiara had scheduled a short meeting at the Ministry of Education to discuss the current curriculum taught in schools. The ministry building was located in the government district right next to the Ministry of Health. It was tall, narrow, and wedge-shaped like a slightly open book. Near the front gate, there were many statues of world-renowned scientists and thinkers. The largest, of course, was Artvin Einstein, something like that, the greatest scientist of all time. Above the main entrance was a familiar inscription. Instretensis et agniciar ev garagina int ola almgawateltin int ola mexis. Education is the premise of progress in all societies, in all families. Nice. Completely butchered that. Inside the building, I was greeted by Kiara's assistant. Latin, yeah, something like that. They led me to the meeting room where she was waiting inside. She stood and gripped my hand. Good afternoon, Mr. President. Good afternoon, Kiara. I will cut straight to the chase. The lack of governmental resources have halted our plans for education reform, but there is one important change that can still be made. It involves evolution versus creationism. As it currently stands, schools across Swordland can decide whether to include evolution, creationism, or both in their curriculum. Rural schools often decide in favor of creationism only, which puts students at a disadvantage when it comes to entering university. The effect is especially noticeable among young women. My suggestion is to make the teaching of evolution mandatory and preferably ban creationism altogether. I don't agree with teaching our children supernatural nonsense. Like, evolution is the idea that ought to be banned. It's dangerous. We should ban evolution. Please, we're banning evolution. We're absolutely gonna ban evolution. No, creationism is the real danger. It promotes the blind acceptance of the world as it is, no facts or verification needed. Children should be encouraged to think critically and ask questions. Creationism and the other religious teachings hinder that. Nonsense. Learning about creationism doesn't mean that you're not questioning. True. Evolution is banned. The problem is creationism says that it knows the answer without any evidence. Learning about the history of creationism is fine. That's not the problem. The problem is when you see people call ideas like evolution dangerous. How does encouraging schools to reject evolution make sense? Do you think learning about evolution makes a person questionless? How dare they defy the one true law of the universe? God. She's not. You know what? This is going nowhere. There's clearly no point discussing this with you. Lucy and Gallade knocked and entered. Excuse me, some urgent business kept me away. Welcome, Mr. Gallade, Mr. President, Miss Malva. Discussing curriculum, Kiara has made some excellent points. Very well, let's hear them. Continuing from my previous point, it is my conviction that we should require the mandatory teaching of evolution in Swordland's public schools and cut creation completely out. If we want children from rural areas to have the same opportunities as their urban counterparts, this is the way. Opening students' minds and reducing the role of religion in schools will also lead to more equality among young men and women. Don't bring your pet cause into this, Miss Walda. You failed your reforms and now you want to remove belief from schools? Advancing women's rights is more than just a pet cause. Both you gentlemen must know that. Also, we all know why the education reforms failed, don't we? Kiara looked at me. Your education budget didn't make the cut. Nothing can be done about it. God, I hate being sexist. It sucks, dude. Action and consequence, I told you before. Going back to the topic. Although I myself believe in evolution, we must be careful not to alienate our rural conservative voter base. We owe a lot to their support. Forcing their school district to teach evolution could irreparably damage our standing with them. Every modern nation is reducing or removing creationism in their curriculum. Yet we are supposed to allow schools to promote fundamentalism and, yes, sexist ideas from thousands of years back? So is that what we're doing now? Copying what other nations are doing instead of paving our own way? If it works, why not? Look at the analysis. It is clear that the superpowers are doing something right. Should we reinvent the wheel, Mr. Gallade? You speak as if we don't import any influences from other countries. That's not what I said. Their voices started getting louder and louder. I held up my hands for silence. Schools should be able to teach creationism exclusively. I can't believe you're ignoring all my arguments. What is the motivation here? To go back to 1739? The motivation is to respect the beliefs of Swordland's heartland, not foist unwanted teachings upon them. Kiara looked me in the eyes. It's your decision. Don't forget, future generations of Swordish youth are counting on you. We will stick to the current system. Evolution will not be mandatory, and schools that wish to teach creation exclusively may do so. Teaching evolution mandatory, but schools may... Okay, yeah. Stick to the current system. I can't believe this. This will certainly help us retain our popularity among conservatives. Also, a less educated populace is more easily managed. Dude, we're going full fucking, like, American neoconservative, like, Trotskyist. I can't believe he just said that. They turned and looked at each other. Lucian lifted his eyebrow, and Kiara held his gaze for a couple of seconds. The meeting ended shortly after. Ooh, awkward. I'm pulling my collar. Ooh, that's a little awkward. Ooh, yikes. Me when I'm sexist. Ooh, this is a little tense. The situation on education has... Lauren's economy is stabilizing. The Lauren region. Yeah, here in the northeast. Morna is building a seaport. Governor of Lauren reports results. The Governor of Lauren reports that the investment provided by the government has been put to use via various programs for new companies and technology fairs in Morna. The opportunity has led to an increase in overall entrepreneurship in the region and revitalized the economy of Lauren, further increasing trade with nearby countries and regions. Economic report for Volgan is suffering the effects of the economic recession, with unemployment spiking and many small businesses shuttering. The larger agricultural concerns are expected to announce a wave of layoffs as sales are low. What if you completely switched up on them and just banned creationism? That would have been very... Dude, Spider, I should have led them on. I should have led them on and been like, yeah, actually, we're banning creationism. Dude. Dare prepares for a day of dissension. Love to see it. Nationalize the Big Four now. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Kessero raises the bloodish question. Privatization, the future of Swordland. I highly doubt it. An ideological chess game in Arica. A deep dive into the workings of the Ayatake plan reveals more than just economic undertones. It's an intricate play to advance millennialist ideologies in strategic battlegrounds. Sources have indicated that substantial funds from the plan are channeled to support millennialist organizations and educational structures in Riga. They're poised between the UC's millennialist model and the Arcasian capitalism. It seems investment is not just about infrastructure, but also ideological doctrine. While Arcasian interests jostle for influence, the Ayatake plans preferential treatment of these battlegrounds suggest a broader strategy, tipping the balance in the UC's favor and away from Arcasian capitalist outreach. Millennialist equals Marxist? I believe so, Spider. I believe millennialist equals Marxist. The real question remains, will Rika's future be determined by economic development or ideological warfare? It's true. It's true. Let's see. The Republic of Wayland has a report. Wayland's operation a mixed success. Wayland President Victor Schmalak is drawing his operations against the Bloodish Freedom Front to a close. The consensus is that Wayland's army went a long way towards neutralizing the Bloodish threat. There were many preventable casualties. Furthermore, despite Wayland's best effort, not all hideouts have been eradicated, and anti-Schmalak sentiment is at an all-time high among the remaining insurgents. Alright, well, how about the ATO? Rehabilitation of Kinal, the balancing act of the ATO. Well, here's Kinal right here. Amidst growing tensions, the ATO is engaged in a delicate balancing out with Kinal, a key member showing signs of distancing itself from full membership to observer status. Central to this shift is a dispute resolution between Kinal and Arcasian PMCs, which has fueled concerns over sovereignty, rules-based order, and autonomy for Kinal. The ATO has responded to these concerns with a serious warning to the PMC CEOs and a series of concessions aimed at reaffirming Kinal's autonomous standing while retaining its essential alliance ties. The flexibility of the ATO in addressing Kinal's concerns reflects the strategic importance of this member state, and the alliance's commitment to balance member sovereignty with the collective security interests. Attending the Victory Day event, of course. Language bill for... Oh, there's a language bill by... Oh, being prepared by Keebner. Preparing a bill to aim to unify the Swordish education by making Swordish the only language accepted in educational institutions, excluding specific foreign language studies. I like that. Lobbying effort in the Assembly. The administration can start a lobbying effort to sway votes, and we can attend the Victory Day. Let me get a drink first. Also, I was right when saying Arcasia was the USA and not an ocean. Oh, okay. I don't actually know. I usually never concern myself too much with the capitalists in this game, but maybe one day I will. I would like to do like a purely capitalist run where we accept like PMCs so they can like keep the country flowing. You know? Presidential state car on the road to Jen. Sergei drove us to the city of Jen, the stronghold of Swordish nationalists, for an event organized by the opposition parties to discuss current events. In reality, it was probably a publicity stunt to show Swordland that the leaders of the assembly could sit around the same table. The National Front Party, which governed the city, undoubtedly had the biggest hand in the organization of the meeting. It was not a coincidence that it fell on Victory Day. Today was a day of special symbolic importance for Swordland. Every year on the 14th of March, proud patriots from all ages gathered to celebrate the end of the Swordish Civil War and Tarkin Saul's victory. Gen had survived one of the worst atrocities of the war, and its Victory Day celebrations were the most jubilant in all of Swordland. Originally, only Peter and I were scheduled to attend, but after learning about new developments with the Ishval Erzin case, Nia Morgna was invited as well. Representatives from both the PFJP and NFP had told us they wanted to talk about the case in more detail. Nia deported Holsword first, Peter and I left on our own a little later. Peter was sitting next to me in the presidential car, skimming through the morning newspaper in silence. Suddenly, Sergei rolled down the soundproof window. Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, we're about to arrive at the Gen Center of Culture. Miss Morgna had already arrived and she will be waiting for you. Peter raised his head and looked out the window. He folded the newspaper and laid it beside him. Wow, that was too comfortable of a drive to have been this fast. Sergei's the best. Thank you, Sergei. I hope the journey was comfortable, sir. Sure was, Sergei. Sergei took a left turn and drove through the tiny streets of Gen. The city looked surprisingly clean and well-maintained. There was no sign of the destruction the city suffered during the heaviest battles of the Civil War. I think, thinking about games like this also makes me think about games like Hearts of Iron, like the military simulator. Like, I like this game a lot more than Hearts of Iron. I wish Hearts of Iron was this game. Because it just has so much more content. But it seems like Paradox has made Hearts of Iron to be lean more into the military economy simulator, which I'm not really into. The city looked surprisingly clean and well-maintained. There was no signs of the destruction the city suffered during one of the heaviest battles of the Civil War. We slowed down in front of the colorful plaza overlooking a massive concrete building with a giant sign that read, Gen Center of Culture. Looks like the NFP mayors have really transformed the city. Wasn't there an abandoned warehouse here for a time? For the longest time? Just came to say good night. Gotcha, Arlene. Have a good night. Hang on. I have to, my coworker has arrived to my apartment building and I have to open the door for them. I believe it used to function as a rebel militia base during and a little while after the Civil War. Oh right, the Black Battalion. It's been a while since I heard that name. Sorry to bring it up, may it never be spoken of again. So you said this game had a lot of content. Can you be any country you want? No, Spider. At the current moment, the game only has 2 countries you can play as. You can play as Swordland, which is like a republic, and you are the 4th president of 3 presidents who just overthrew like the king or something like that. And then you can play as Rizia, which you get to play as a king. You have a lot more control in Rizia, and then a big part of the game is that you have some land taken by Wayland, and then the Duchy of Pale separated from you, and you can invade both, I think. But it's basically an oil kingdom, playing as Rizia. Swordland was the first one they made, Rizia was the second one they made. I hope they add another one soon. I'm not sure which one they'll add, but this is the map they're sort of working with right now. I'm sure if they add another one, it'll probably be on this map somewhere. I hope they add it somewhere over here. Oh, I'll be right back. My coworker is here. BRB. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. Shall we? So was Swordland one of the countries in the Soviet bloc? If I had to guess, yeah. If I had to guess, not in this timeline, but I think you can join what is effectively the Soviet bloc, which is the CSP. I think it's supposed to be reflecting one of the Baltic states, if not all the Baltic states. And I think all the Baltic states were part of the bloc. We are currently attending the meeting. Sergei stopped the car and went outside to hold the doors. Here we are, sirs. Hope you have a great day. We got out of the car and walked towards the entrance of the building. Every spot around us was decorated with flags of Swordland. The comically large amount of flags almost fully enveloped the buildings around the plaza in maroon, white, and gold. At the entrance, Keebner, the head of the National Front Party, was waiting for us in his iconic brown suit, watching the sky. Look at this guy, he's so full of himself. How did this clown convince the PFJP to have trilateral talks with them anyway? It's Victory Day, remember? It's more about friends than the PFJP. He's a dangerously competent man, Peter. We should be cautious with him. Probably the same reason why we're here. It's Victory Day. How can I forget? Lucian nagged about the importance of the day for 20 minutes straight. Broke my soul. Seeing us arrive, Casaro approached us with a smile. Look, it's Hitler. Look, we literally have Hitler. Thank you for being here on this glorious day, Mr. President and Mr. Vice President. As the former mayor of Gen, it's an honor to welcome you to this fine city. Thank you, Mr. Keebner. Maybe we should think about running for local office. It's good to be here. Thank you, Mr. Keebner. We shook hands. Thank you for organizing this, Mr. Keebner. The representatives of the PFJP and Mr. Morgna are already inside the private meeting room. Hopefully we'll be finished before the festivities start. Casaro gestured at the doors behind him. Shall we? Please. Just follow me. We entered the building and walked through a massive conference hall until we approached the door towards the back of the building. We'll have the meeting here. Hitler had a better mustache. He honestly looks like Walt Disney. He could be Walt Disney for all I know. And then here's Remus Holstrom, Swordish politician, member of the Assembly, current group deputy chair. Nicknamed the Iron Wall. Casaro opened the doors for us and we entered the meeting room. And his deputy, Franz Richter's deputy, was already seated at the left side of the table. We have quite the group here. As soon as we entered, Nia came to greet us. After showing us our seats, Casaro sat down next to his deputy. This is such a meaningful day. Thank you for coming here on behalf of our parties. But despite the festive atmosphere, we in the PFJP want to raise a few important concerns about the worrying state of affairs in Swordland. Casaro stopped for a moment and checked his notes. Very worrying indeed. Mr. Richter and his analysis have been working on an analysis of the blood problem. As soon as they brought it up, we gave our support without reservations. The blood problem? Mr. Hall... I'm sorry to interrupt, but the analysis is about racism and radicalization in Swordland, and our main topic is the case of Urzen vs. Swordland. Please don't try to spin it. Of course, Miss Sahila and Mr. Holstrom was just wanting to point out that this analysis was focused mainly on topics related to the Bloodish people. I'm surprised that your parties have conducted a joint analysis. We think that NFP for assisting our research, of course, but this is by no means a joint analysis. Our parties have vastly different opinions. Alright, I'm listening. Let's get back on track, ladies and gentlemen. He gestured at friends. I want to give the word to Mr. Richter to explain the issue. Thank you. Our analysis of the current tensions between the Bloodish and Swordish population in Swordland displays a worrying picture. As much as I hate to say it, the threat of the Bloodish Freedom Front is getting real again. The situation with Brumberg and Wayland is very concerning. The increasingly discriminatory actions of the governor of Bergia has resulted in radicalization of many young Bloodish people. Distressingly, the number of radicals has almost doubled after the implication of our armed forces in the Operation Bear Trap. Unfortunately, the NFP's Religious Harmony Bill was also signed into law despite our protests, which did nothing to ease the tensions. That bill targets the secessionist propaganda apparatus. I must point out that the recruitment numbers of the BFF have significantly reduced since the law's implementation. Peter frantically looked through his papers. That seems to be correct. The report showed that the new laws definitely struck a blow to the BFF's religious wing in their recruitment. As the threat the BFF possesses is a direct one, this issue requires direct action that leads to direct results, which seem to be proving successful as fact-checked by Vice President. Good to see the new laws are working. They are working, but it's not enough. Our suggestion is to finally enforce the official language of our country as stated in the Constitution. We're working in the Unified Language Act that is directly aimed at the breeding grounds of the Bloodish Freedom Front. The police have infiltrated 32 BFF training grounds in remote towns around Bergia that posed as middle schools. Despite all the evidence, similar schools keep popping up. We're doing a fucking Israel right now, dude. It's so bad. And so-called activists are constantly blocking Governor Braun's attempt to stop these schools, claiming he is attacking their right to language. You can't take away the Bloodish people's right to be educated in their own language. This is insane. Please read the proposal carefully. It does not take away anyone's right. It only gives the state a way to control the radicalization in these schools that teach bloodish nationalistic propaganda. And according to the Constitution, the language of Swordland is Swordish. If nothing is being done to enforce that, we are breaching the Constitution. This law simply enforces it. With all due respect, Mr. Keebner, this bill is not strong enough. The bloodish language should be completely banned. You know, people like Miss Suila and Miss Morgno will never even vote for your watered-down bill. Remus. Casaro repositioned himself on his chair and continued. True, it does not ban bloodish language or bloodish education. It will instead make Swordish mandatory to learn for everyone living in this country. This will only decrease the tensions in the long term. It's a fair point. However, the wording of the bill is far too vague to work as intended. It gives the government too much power over educational institutes. I disagree. The language is quite clear and is in line with the Constitution, but we can still improve it, of course. It is true that it gives more control, but it is a necessary compromise. I'll sign the bill if it gets to me. The PFJP will not allow this bill to pass the Assembly. Let's not make the statements that the party hasn't agreed on yet. Manley looked furious. She opened her mouth to respond, then read the room and closed it again, as if the PFJP has the influence to change the outcome. If I may continue with our analysis, the situation is also connected to Rumber. As everyone also already knows, in the case of future incursion, BFF forces in Swordland could become an existential threat. That's why we have to remove the authority of the governor. It's great that we're aligned on that matter. We have to do something about it because reality is the secessionists are on the rise. He adjusted as time continued. Our analysis matches with what the Ministry of Interior shared with us. But despite this fact, we believe that the Ministry is hiding information from us, which is actively fueling the tensions behind the scenes. As much as I now support the strict response against the BFF, it must also be coupled with the expansion of rights for the bloodish people. That's the only way to fight against radicalization. That is BFF propaganda. What rights are we talking about here? What can a sword in Swordland do that a blood cannot? You're using soft language as a cover-up for your willingness to negotiate with terrorists. You are a BFF apologist, Mr. Richter. Remus shouted the last sentence. Peter tapped on the table to get his attention. Please don't raise your voice, Mr. Hallstrom. The mood in the room had turned sour. Is the USP that desperate for Mr. Richter's support now? Manley bellowed out a loud laugh. Mr. Vectorn is the last person to sway the PFJP. What is that supposed to mean? Can we return to the topic? Casaro and Peter nodded. You heard the man. Please finish your point, Mr. Richter. We require your support with a more pressing matter. This might have very significant consequences for our bloodish citizens and may serve as a dangerous trigger if we're not careful. Friends gestured at Manalloy. She carefully placed several pieces of paper in front of her. Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, and Miss Minister, as you already know, there's a major Supreme Court case at the moment. Okay, Ben Shapiro. Hello, 21 Guns. For real. Ishval Erzen is suing the governor of Bergia, Felix Braun, for infringing upon the liberties of bloodish people and demands that the Constitution be revised. Because of the argument and the implications, Felix Braun, and consequently the very Constitution of Swordland, is under trial. The fact is, he needs to be punished and the Constitution must be reviewed. Please explain. Nia raised her hand and spoke. I was actively involved in this case because of the implication with the Constitution. There is no way the Supreme Court will agree with Ishval Erzen on all the points. Not if all three parties of the Assembly support Erzen together. We can put pressure on them, and we only need them to agree on a few of these points. Is the NFP really willing to support Erzen, Mr. Kibner? For peace and harmony in Swordland, yes, but perhaps we must clarify the details first. What are your plans and suggestions? In short, the plan is to release a unified statement to the justices declaring our support for Erzen and explaining why this is so important. The only good result would be if the Supreme Court reiterates its commitment to the pillars of unity and Solism. Mr. President, despite previously, Ishval Erzen is the guy. Despite previously being against it, I now completely understand why Swordland still needs Solism. We need unity more than ever, and Article 6 is that unity. We do not need solaced unity. Casaro stared Remus down and continued. If the court reiterates the definition of a sword in Article 6 as an all-encompassing term, they would be acknowledging that Erzen and others like him are indeed protected by the rights of the sword people, which they are. As a result, the resettlement policy in Dare would be reversed, opening the way for Governor Braun's removal and the de-escalation of tensions in Bergia. What does the PFJP think? So as the president, do we hate the bloodish or no? We as the president hate the bloodish. We're racist. We're doing a racist run, Spider. I personally somewhat agree with Mr. Kibner on this. However, our position of the PFJP is that Article 6 does not indeed discriminate against non-swords. Having a positive outcome for this case alone doesn't suffice. We agree to come together in support of Ishval Urson, but we believe our statement should... How racist? Not enough to do a genocide, but enough to where... Enough to make a decision. Should include the acknowledgement of the inherent racism within the Constitution. We must use this opportunity to show the flaws in the Constitution. If the court agrees that there is in fact conflict between the articles or recognizes the discrimination, and the Hawker Court's gonna listen to that. Besides, we do not agree with your inherent racism hogwash. You have to state that it is your party's opinion and does not reflect the NFP. We won't take part in that. It would make the statement look weak and disorganized. If there's no consistent strategy, I don't think it would work. I've heard enough. Second-class citizens, you get it, Spider. We're not outright doing a genocide, we're just making them second-class citizens. That's a good way to put it. I think I have enough information to be able to say we are deep in the mud here. Peter laughed at his own joke attempt, but nobody else reacted. Well, I think the NFP stance could do some good for the Bloodish without provoking the establishment, but even that might be risky right before the vote. But the PFJP stance would be too radical for our party. I think it might be better to keep our administration out of this. If I'm not sure if it's worth the risk right now before the vote of our reforms, the decision is yours. Pressure the court to admit discrimination within the Constitution. Why we should try to convince them to reiterate. We're not going to no. I think I've heard enough. I don't want to release a unified statement with the opposition. We will not involve ourselves in this case. No. Bloodish people are considered swords before the law, as Mr. Keebner. No. We will argue that Article 6 and 7 are inherently discriminatory. That's not going to happen. Sorry, lads. The representatives of both parties looked at me with disappointment. Really? The correct choice, I would say. The Hawker Court will do the right thing. Nobody should intervene. It's very disappointing. Even if we're alone in this, the PFJP will keep fighting. With all due respect, Mr. Richter, I think nobody expected a USP president will help with Bloodish rights anyway. We appreciate all your comments, ladies and gentlemen, but now the USP stance is clear. We should probably end the meeting here. After bidding our farewells, Gisaro took us outside the building to join the Victory Day event on the plaza. Well, so much for all of that. I probably shouldn't have listened to the plan. That was a big fucking waste of time. Largest ever Victory Day, several celebrations, and political differences at Victory Day. Damn. Me when the liberals and the fascists are at the same table. Well, this is kind of cringe. Of course they're gonna come up with something that's cringe. Operation Bear Trap. Ooh, scissors. Yummy scissors. Alright. We are... Ooh, lobbying effort in the Assembly. Chief Strategist Gallade has prepared a well-planned lobbying effort in the Parliament, which would specifically sway on the fence MPs for the upcoming Constitution vote. The plan includes lavish parties, gifts, and even more political favors. Should we go ahead with the plan? I don't think we need any more of the MPs. I mean, I'll do it, but I really don't think we really need to lobby any more people. I think everybody's gonna support us. I'm not gonna lobby. I'm not gonna lobby any more MPs. I'll hold on to my capital. But we'll see. Oh, Chapter 3, Victims of Change. Alright, let's see it. Is it constitutional reform time? A call from Marcel Coronti. Oh, no, I think we are working on the nationalization project for the big companies. It is reported that in villages around Uzrian, a group of BFF missionaries are seeking to recruit militants to fight for the BFF. Governor Braun reported that the gendarme forces in the area are now actively working towards eliminating the threat. Good. Nothing posted on the whole sword. Heartbreaking for FC Enrica as FC Gelsword secures back-to-back league titles. I don't care about soccer. World ignores the Bloodish plight. Volgish man shot after burning Agnolian flag. Turmoil strikes Ventry City. Love to see it. A call from Marcel Coronti. Well. I was in my office looking through the agenda for the upcoming meeting at the Ministry of Economy. The meeting was going to be about the ownership of the Big Four, the four largest companies in Swordland. The Heart of Swordland, the HOS, is a multi-industry corporation worth tens of billions, part of the Big Four. The Bergia Steel, founded in 1889. The Swordish State Corporation, and the Nadam Mining Corporation. Some of these companies were controlled in part or entirely by the state. The others were mostly or completely privatized. I had the power to change that. The phone rang. I put the agenda down. I picked up the phone. Well. Marcel Coronti, head of the HOS conglomerate. Greetings, Mr. President. It's been a while, hasn't it? Let me try to remember. When was the last time we had a chat? Oh, I remember. It was in Conriad when you refused my gracious offer. I've been starting to regret that decision. That is unfortunate. My father once had a saying, may he rest in peace. He told me that if I don't seize an opportunity when it's presented, the opportunity could disappear forever. That's how I've chosen to live my life, unlike you, it seems. You probably know why I'm calling. It's because of the upcoming ownership meeting. But before we move on to that, I can't help but mention the tax breaks, Mr. President. They have been extraordinarily beneficial to our quarterly performance. HOS is now operating on a much larger revenue pool. You have successfully strengthened the backbone of the Swordfish economy. Private corporation had to have a financial leg up to boost investment. I still expect you to reinvest any surplus back into the economy to create more jobs. Increasing our investments inside Swordland is a key topic in our board of discussions. He paused for a few seconds. Out of goodwill, I will share a key piece of information. The Lotherberger Group has a contingency plan if you decide to do anything rash that would disrupt their empires. You can't blame them, can you? Imagine someone trying to take your authority and personal wealth away without your consent. Only ask for a reasonable share, nothing out of the ordinary. That is good to hear. If everyone plays their cards right, it will be fine. Now, let's talk about those cards. Since the start of your campaign, you've adamantly promoted a planned economy. Going by that, I'm worried that you will attempt to nationalize Swordland's largest private corporations. Nationalization as a concept goes against everything my father built and stood for. If you do want to go down this road, I must insist on you excluding the HOS from such a plan. That is my most important request. Think of your corporate allies as a sea of ravenous sharks surrounding you. We could coexist peacefully, or... let's not imagine that scenario. We don't need to be enemies. No, we don't. As long as we both understand what entails not being enemies. I always keep my end of the bargain, Mr. President, don't forget. You'd better keep yours as well. He cleared his throat. Before we end the call, there's actually one more thing I would like to discuss. I will be blunt. Mr. Tusk is unfit to be the spokesperson for Lothberg Group. His archaic thinking has only perverted a status quo that benefits himself and precious few others. It's high time something changed. I see where this is going. Who'd you have in mind to replace him? Who do you think? Me, of course. Here's what I propose, a win-win situation. If you could use your powers to make Bergia Steel, Tusk's main company, state-owned, he would lose considerable influence, which means I could take over. If I could take over with your help, I would be forever indebted to you and support you in all your goals, but be they re-election or something more. How does that sound? That sounds like a profitable deal. Deal. That sounds profitable to me. Deal. Perfect. Well then, I've taken up enough of your time today. This has been a productive call. Thank you for your time, Mr. President. Goodbye, Mr. Caronti. After a couple minutes, I went back to reviewing my agenda. I would like to nationalize at least one of the corporations, and I don't mind doing it for Mr. Walter Tusk, even though he's probably going to shoot us in the back of the head. We might die to a bunch of thug gangsters. I'm not going to lie. Supreme Court delays Ishval Urzin's case and upholds Governor Braun's policies. Protests erupt as Bloodish community expresses outrage over Supreme Court delay. Another injustice from the Supreme Court. Refugees suffer because of rain. Arcasian-Canali relations, a fresh chapter. Illegal crossings rise at the Wayland border. Border police have reported an increased number of arrests as Bloodish and Wejek refugees attempt to enter the country from Wayland. Temporary detention centers have been erected in Uzrian to process the deportation of illegal entrants. Just letting you know, I'm still listening. Can't have the chat be too dead. Oh, Spider. Thank you, buddy. Increasing support for Bloodish rights. Public opinion in cities like Leshaven, known for their significant middle-class, liberal population, is undergoing a noticeable shift with surge in support for Bloodish rights. The case of Ishval Urzin has struck a chord with many individuals, leading to a growing sense of empathy and solidarity. The recent statements from officials of the WPB urging the government to incorporate changes to Articles 6 and 7 have resonated strongly with the Swordish population in these cities. Calls for reform to recognize and protect Bloodish rights are gaining traction, but there is a palpable sentiment among residents that the time has come for meaningful change. Supreme Court delays Urzin case until further notice. Today, Supreme Court has delayed the case of Ishval Urzin without further notice, thereby allowing Governor Braun to continue his policies in Bergia. Chief Justice Hawker stated that he did not yet find anything unconstitutional about Governor Braun's actions. The decision has sparked controversy and anger among those advocating for Bloodish rights, who have criticized the Supreme Court for failing to take action to protect vulnerable communities. The delay of the case has seen as a major setback for those seeking to bring about meaningful change in the country and has raised concerns about the impartiality of the justice system. A requested meeting of Lucien Gallade at the office of the President of Swordland in the Maroon Palace. Lucien scheduled some time with me to discuss the potential political repercussions of the upcoming economy meeting. He arrived on time as usual and took his seat right across from me. Good morning, Mr. President. Lucian had dark circles below his eyes. The plethora of political developments must have been weighing even on a workaholic like him. You look tired. Are you getting enough sleep? I am trying to, sir. Don't push yourself too much. I will try not to. I must say, you don't look much better. I looked at myself in the small hand mirror. Similar circles were beneath my eyes as well. I booked some of your time for a pre-plan for today's meeting at the Ministry of Economy. But before going into economic direction, I want to give you a short status update. We've just received word about the case of Ishval Erzin. The Supreme Court has decided not to act at all and delay the case indefinitely. I'm afraid Chief Justice Hawker seems to be protecting Governor Braun for persecution. Moreover, the bloodish community in Bergia is getting increasingly restless over this topic. Nobody knows how long they'll keep delaying the case. This, of course, allows Governor Braun to keep his seat and continue his resettlement policies in Bergia, among others. This is very troubling. Do you have any idea how we could proceed? We'll see. I don't think there's anything we can do about it at this point. Our strategy should be to get public opinion behind us. Luckily, Miss Graff is already working a revocation of the special zone of Bergia. We may still be able to get rid of the governor that way. It would likely be ready after the vote for the amendments. You'd be free to enact it then. Thank you for letting me know. Of course, sir. There is one more thing. The representatives of the bloodish community, namely Monzenlek and Fatih Ejal, have just released statements condemning our administration. They criticized your inactions on the Erzin case, and they used very strong language to do so, I must add. They have enormous influence over our bloodish populations, just something to be aware of. He looked at his watch. For now, let's return back to the real reason we are here, our economic direction. We need to be cautious. Any grand plans about the economy also heavily influence our political standing. We will be changing our relationship with the old guard and oligarchs and the opposition. As you know, this meeting will give you the opportunity to alter the ownership of the Big Four, the largest corporations in all of Swordland. We can start the process of nationalization or privatization, or we can keep the status quo. Again, I remind you that any change will tip an already fragile balance. I personally think we should stay out of this and keep things as they are. There is no need to make new political enemies at this stage in our term. But ultimately, the decision's yours. What are you leaning towards? How should we move forward? We will nationalize these companies. I have to ask, why? What is your intention? A major part of the country to run without my input as president, the oligarchs must submit to me. It's true that the more control we have, the better. Your administration still bears responsibility if we let the oligarchs determine the course of the country. One thing to remember is that since you've been transparent about promoting a planned economy, nationalization will not cost us much in support. Lucian took a note out of his notebook. I received a report from the Ministry of Economy that may impact your decision. Unfortunately, we have missed our government budget targets for the current quarter. The plan to change ownership of important assets could help us generate much-needed resources to further improve economic development for the next election. It's just something to consider, as is our relationship with the oligarchs. The oligarchy. We might be aiming for nationalization, but we need to remember that they only care about their own profits. Unfortunately, we aren't good in terms with them. This situation has been obstructing some of our efforts in the economic recovery. If our nationalization plan hurts their assets too much, we may end up at war with the men who control much of the economy. We don't want the Lothberger group to be our enemies. It'll endanger our re-election. If we nationalize only part of their companies, perhaps we can avoid must be destroyed. Seize their assets is the way to go. If we nationalize only parts of the economy, can avoid conflict. Yes, that's the only kind of nationalization they accept. I am sure that Tusk will have further requests afterwards, though. Some of my connections indicate that there seems to be a contest for leadership at the Lothberg group. It looks like Michael Caranti is making moves to become the key figure. Caranti probably wants his father seated as the head of the group, and Tusk doesn't want to let it go. It's a significant power struggle, considering these are the heads of the Swordland's two largest private corporations. Because we're going down the path of nationalization, we will have the power to tip the balance towards either side. Since you have already made the decisions to nationalize, you need to be decisive in your follow-up actions. Did Marcel or Tusk contact you? I received a call from Marcel. What did he ask for? We make a deal to leave HOS untouched. And then, I said I'd think about it. Very well. Was that all he wanted? He also wanted to nationalize Bergia Steel to take down Mr. Tusk. As I expected. This internal conflict among the oligarchs puts us in an interesting position. Our relationship with Walter Tusk hasn't been good so far. Any move we make now has to be calculated and thought through. Lucian looked at his watch. Very well then, it's almost time. I will inform Mr. Hall of your decision, and he will make the necessary preparations to formulate a plan. I must get back to work now. See you at the next meeting. Thank you for your time, sir. Lucian got up from his chair and left the office. Oh, so scary, dude. Oh, so scary. Oh, shoot all these oligarchs in the head, dude. Shoot all these oligarchs in the head. All right. Oh, God, my spine. My spine. That's gonna be it for Swordland tonight. I hope... Well, we'll leave the country in the hands of some sort of Some sort of artificial intelligence next time, I'm sure. I'm sure there's nothing to it. But that is gonna be it for me tonight. I hope everybody has had a good night. I know I did. This game is so tense, man. It hurts my spine, my shoulders. Get rid of them, oligarchs? Oh god, that's so scary though. Then they'll start trying to shoot me in the head. I only want one of the oligarchs to shoot me in the head. Regardless, that's gonna be it for Suzerain tonight. I'll see everybody tomorrow for a lot more Tiny Tina's Wonderland. I will see her. Yeah, I'll catch y'all later. Bye bye, Johnny.